Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel, StoryMan-Jack. I am going to do a spoiler review of The Sandman by Niel Gaiman, Audible series original, because, my non-spoiler review did so well, and a number of people suggested that I do a spoiler review, so here it is. I hope you enjoy it. And please, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is StoryMan-Jack. I wanted to follow up with my spoiler-free review on The Sandman because, it was suggested to me from a subscriber that I should do a little bit of a spoiler review since apparently this is a very popular it's an audiobook, but to me it's more of a dramatic broadcast because it works as a play. It works as I mean, you could also produce it as a movie because the voice actors are so incredible. But let's go into it. Like I said, spoilers. This is a spoiler review. If you haven't listened to the book or you don't care about and you care about spoilers, please stop now. Go listen to the book. It's only on Audible. Come back and listen to this spoiler review. So there's no doubt that this is one of the better productions from Audible that I've read, and I have over 400 books in my Audible collection. Now, granted, there are a lot of things that I have Sun Tzu, I have The Republic by Plato, the works of Aristotle, things like that as well. But I'm a storyteller. Those kind of things are really just tools to learn rhetoric. In fact, I'm working on a video about a rhetoric, a trick, it's a literary exercise where you take figures from history and you create a fictional conversation or scene, and you use your knowledge of history to show how the characters would talk and react and things like that. But it's an exercise in characterization and how to express the differences between characters that way. But so let's dive in first to the creation of the Sandman. This was written by Niel Gaiman, and this was a proposal that he submitted to DC because he loved the original Sandman series, written by Joe Simon and Michael Fleischer, and it was a Jack Kirby. I believe Jack Kirby did the art on it. And that was from 74, 75, and 76, I believe. Just so you know, this is a comic book. It was a comic book that they've adapted, and it's set in DC Universe. So there are times when you have DC characters show up in these stories. And it does have an overall arch. However, toward the end, it looks like there's a couple of short stories, kind of characterization type of fiction with our main character. So, the basic story is that a self-styled magician, wizard, witch, whatever you want to call him, user of magic, performs a ritual that is intended to capture death. And my understanding is that there are a number of what are called endless ones, beings who have specific jobs in the supernatural universe. For example, death. Their job is death. And the idea is this wizard wants to capture death. Excuse me. Capture death. And send him to, in order to make himself and those he wishes immortal. Because if you trap death, they can't take you. But the nameless, there are a number of them. There's desire, there's despair, there's, of course, Morpheus, the dreamer, or dream, and death. So instead of capturing death, they accidentally capture dream, which is called, he goes by Morpheus. He goes by several different names. And for, I don't know, they go through 100 years, he just sits there. He doesn't hardly respond. He won't talk to him. He won't make a deal with him. And, this leads to an imbalance in the world because dreams have a purpose. And the overall story is that without Morpheus to keep the rules of dreams in check, there are people who never wake up. There are people who never go to sleep. There are people who go crazy. There are stories aren't getting told because it turns out Morpheus, the king of dreams are where our stories come from. They're where we learn in our subconscious. We get this idea of the dream realm and all this stuff, and it turns out that there are other endless involved causing issues. And you get down to the end, and it turns out that you start to believe that Morpheus had to go through all this in order to realize that he had spread himself too thin, that he had compartmentalized his power. Now, there's a great scene, and I love John Constantine. I think Keanu Reeves' portrayal of John Constantine was almost completely spot on, and I cannot wait if it is true that he's doing another. I love that movie. I thought it was very underrated. But there is a whole section of the story that involves John Constantine, and it's the John Constantine we know and love. The great thing about Neil Gaiman is that he is such a stickler for the rules of the mythological tropes. The where he draws his inspiration is from myth and legend. He did it with American Gods. He actually has done history books on mythologies, Norse mythology, for example. And I've read these. I've listened to them and read the physical books. I tend to read physical books and then listen to the audio books. I think you get a lot from reading the physical book. Internally, you understand, and you begin the journey of understanding the themes and point of views and things that the writer's getting across, even though they may not be doing it intentionally. But then you get the audiobook, and then you have a whole other layer of inflection, of voice control, of how a scene can change because of you can tell an attitude in a voice much better than you can on text. It makes a writer lazy. It really does. The description falls flat sometimes, and then it's up to the voice actor to make it better. Fortunately, we don't have this problem here because you're talking about a comic book, which is all pretty much a lot of action anyway. Neil Gaiman's talent goes to the fact that he can tell you a lot. He can make these stories move with narration, and that's a very difficult thing to do. And Morpheus is a very dry, English-type humor persona. And he is personable. As things go on, you in the beginning you start to think that this is a really cold being, this dream, Morpheus, because he won't talk. He just stares at them for, I think it's something like 80 years. He's stuck in a glass cell doesn't eat, doesn't drink, doesn't sleep, doesn't move, doesn't talk. He just stares at them. I think every now and then they'll ask him to take the deal, and he just says no. And that's all he says. Well, eventually, over the years, the guards get lazy and they end up falling asleep, which gives him access to break free. Once he breaks free, he discovers that the whole dream world that he's in charge of is trashed, and he doesn't have enough power. So it starts a quest story where he has to go and get all his tools. He has a gem that has a lot of his power stuck in it. He has a helmet that helps him, and he has a bag of sand. And so he goes and finds the helmet. The helmet was sold to a demon, and he has to go to the underworld to fight demons. And his bag of sand, John Constantine had it, but an ex-girlfriend drug addict took it and had been using the sand as a drug, and they have to go get it back. The stone, this is one of the more interesting stories. Even though I love the John Constantine part about the sand, anybody who loves DC will really love this part of the story because it takes place in Arkham. It takes place with the character of Dr. Destiny. And the fact that Dr. Destiny's gem that he used to manipulate dreams and put people to sleep and do all these terrible things to people is Morpheus's stone. It's part of his power. It's part of him. And he has to go through and defeat Dr. Destiny and take care of it. And it turns out that it was all linked together. That all these people were linked together. You have a brief conversation with Scarecrow, who says something like, this is our home. We will always leave when we can, but we will always come back. And that's kind of the whole textural complexity of DC, is that these because Batman and most of the Justice League have this thing about not killing, that they have to capture the people committing these crimes, that they don't want to kill them. That creates a juxtaposition because you can't keep people in our society. It's erroneous to think that you could keep somebody. There are people who are locked up forever. But you're talking about supervillains. Given enough time, these people will escape. And that's what Neil Gaiman alludes to with these scenes, is that Arkham isn't just a holding facility or a hospital or a jail/psychiatric hospital. It is their home. They have a brotherhood there. That's what kind of comes across. And the voice actors, like Morpheus is voiced by James McAvoy, and he has a very proper, almost aristocratic feel to his character. In Death reminds me. I don't know the voice actor, but she sounds a lot like Zooey Deschanel, and you get this idea that Death is this very petite and lovely and fun young lady, even though she is Morpheus's older sister. Desire is transgender because desire comes from both male and female, and he even uses the different pronouns of they and them in there, and he does it correctly and makes you understand and believe it, and it's organic, and this is the way these things should be done. Neil Gaiman is truly a master, and you can tell that before he does anything, he has a reverence for the worlds that he is playing in, especially one like DC, which he doesn't own. And in my opinion, it's like if I created a world like the Star Wars universe or the MCU or the DCEU, or if as a creator I created a universe like that, it would be the ultimate compliment to be respectful of that universe as you play in it. And even though I had created that universe or the powers that be who have created those universe, we need to look at it that this is a universe that has gone beyond us. That there has been so much contribution that it belongs to not just the fans, not just the artists, not just the creatives, but to the world in general. And there's a certain respect that should be implied in these things that haven't been lately. Not since I would argue since 2013. But the big thing was when those idiots over at Sony took Ghostbusters and said, we're just going to make fun of men and make our women look good by making fun of men. So it's horrible, but then we find gems like this, and it makes us appreciate these things so much better. You go through the course of it, there's one young lady who basically just falls asleep, and she only wakes up for moments at a time over the course of years and years and years. And she ends up being molested while she's asleep. She doesn't know what happens. She becomes pregnant from that and has a child, and she doesn't even know it because she's asleep. She's in basically a sleep coma for 30 or 40 years because Dream has been held captive. Well, apparently her daughter gets adopted, moves to the States, and her granddaughter has very vivid dreams. And these dreams, she becomes a vortex. And the whole purpose of Morpheus, the dream, is to control these things and get rid of the vortexes. When a vortex manifests itself into a person, that person must die in order for the vortex to go away, and it doesn't destroy the whole realm of dreams. So you have a quest story, then you have a this is going to end the world, and I don't want to kill this beautiful, smart, intelligent, just starting off her young adult life, beautiful woman. So I'm going to get to know her and try and explain things. And then there's something that happens that take care of it. But you can see that he doesn't understand why she's upset that she has to lose her life. He doesn't have that kind of empathy because he's a being of supernatural. He is in charge of something. He has a singular purpose. And then you get kind of toward the end, you get some kind of one-off stories. My favorite one is the fact that because we are inspired, and the whole idea of this is that our stories come from dreams. There's a story about the main character is William Shakespeare and William Shakespeare's son Hamlet, and how he made a deal with Morpheus that he would write 2 plays for Morpheus, and Morpheus would provide him the inspiration for all of his works. And he has this particular story has a private showing of A Midsummer Night's Dream to Titania and Oberon and Puck and their court. And it is very well done. One of my favorite lines of the whole book, Hamlet is sitting after the play, and one of the other actors walks up and says, "Aren't you so proud of your father, William Shakespeare? He's done such good." And he goes, "Nah, it's not that big a deal." He's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, yeah, he's a great writer and a great actor, and he's done these things, but, it's all about the story to him. Nothing else matters." My sister even makes the joke that if I were to die or somebody were to kill me, that father would just write a play about it in order to move on. Haha. Hence Hamlet. Play about a man named Hamlet, a boy named Hamlet who dies. So it's very well done. If you have any knowledge of mythology, he weaves Christianity into it. There are angels, there are demons, there's John Constantine. It's very, very beautiful. There are so many similes and metaphors that just make the hair stand on the back of your neck. They are illustrious almost, and simple, easily understood. If you have any knowledge of Christianity and some of these other mythologies, even a little bit of Norse has been mixed in there, then you're going to love this. If you love DC, I highly recommend this book. This is one of the greatest things to come out of DC in a very long time, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to Justice League Snyder Cut. If you haven't, go check out RK Outpost. Check out Fatal J. Check out Jamajanak. Check out, Abu Nas, our president. Lethal Lightning. These are the people who understand these types of stories and what is good and what they're trying to do and what we're trying to tell. I really hope that this becomes a movie or a miniseries someday, but Neil Gaiman has to retain control. I do believe that that's why that hasn't been done yet, is because Neil Gaiman does have creative control over this. I don't think... Neil Gaiman started out as a journalist, and you can tell the way he researches his subject matter. But he's a smart cookie, and I'm almost 100% positive that he has retained a large amount of creative control over this story, which is why we haven't had it redone, because it would make money. No matter what, people will go see this. Well, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you haven't listened to this, please do. Go get the comic. I highly recommend reading that comic and then listening to this. You will totally enjoy both of them for very different reasons. The other thing I would like to add is, if you could, please leave a comment on this video. If you came across it via searches for book reviews, etc., etc., like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. Also, put in the comments any books or novels. I typically like urban fantasy, science fiction, high fantasy, anything with a large degree of storytelling. I like horror. I like all that stuff. So if you have suggestions for a book review, please leave them in the comments, and I will get to them as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoy your rest of your experience here, and take a look at our creative series. The playlist should be right there. Like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. Remember, your story is the most important story you'll ever tell. Make it a great one. Hey, this is StoryMan-Jack. I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody who tunes in, and look forward to seeing you next time. Please, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. And remember, you're the creator and writer of your own story. Make it a great one. Thank you.